In the year 2130, this story takes place in the 12th Dome construction zone. At the Semgori organization home base, there was an attack in which many of the agents of the base were killed. A tall man with white hair, a long coat, and a gas mask had attacked the base. He was alone with just his shotgun. The base's troops were ordered to take him down, but he single-handedly killed all the troops while dodging hundreds of bullets. A bald agent had nowhere to run from him, and he was intimidated by his overall look. He asked him who he really was and why did he attack them. He begged him to settle whatever grudge he had peacefully. The masked man didn't speak a word. Agitated, the bald agent pulled out his gun, and before he could fire, the masked man shot him in the chest. The masked man was a law enforcer for the world government. He said to himself that there cannot be a peaceful world as long as even a single criminal is left in the world. His code name was Alpha. He called someone named Amber and reported to her that the issue was resolved. Gangbuk, the area where he was now under the control of the world government. 100 years ago, in the year 2030, the world was facing a nuclear war. The worldwide apocalypse had become a reality. The end seemed near, but humanity's resiliency endured as time passed. Survivors hiding underground began to come out. However, what they witnessed was a lawless world controlled by violence and barbarism. Among the survivors were a father and daughter duo. They were barely surviving each day when suddenly they found themselves surrounded by the criminals in an abandoned building one day. The daughter, Chiha, was badly injured. Laying in his father's arms, they were both helpless. The criminals knew they were inside the building, and they released poisonous gas inside the building, trapping the duo. The father pulled out the only gas mask he had in his bag. Before he could put it on Chiha's face, she told him to put it on instead, as she knew she could not make it due to her injury. She put the mask on his face and asked her father to survive until the world became peaceful again. In the present times Republic of Korea, one of the world's government's Seoul area administrators was questioning the plan of the government to build a dome in a crime-infested place like Seoul. He knew that in a hopeless city that could not recover from the past war and was filled with underground gangs, building a dome was impossible. He asked his driver to take him to the diplomatic office. The driver saw a bus beside the car with masked men holding guns. Soon the men took aim, and bullets rained at the car, killing the driver and the administrator. Meanwhile, a girl named Amber was summoned by a director general to his office. She just got her first appointment in Seoul. The general explained to her how there had been a problem building the 12th dome in Seoul, and how her predecessor had an accident and hence she was appointed as the new successor. Amber asked, didn't they just build the 11th dome in Tokyo, and thus why did they need to build another dome in Seoul? The general explained that after 100 years of war, Koreans still suffered from radiation and other atrocities, and the dome was the only safe zone for the people. Thus, it was a necessity. The gangs in Seoul were resisting them, therefore she needed to get rid of the trash and make Seoul a safe city. He saw the fear on Amber's face and told her not to worry, as he had appointed a professional that would help her. Amber was surprised, and just then a man walked into the room. She turned around and saw a man in a green coat. He was Agent Alpha, and he reported to the general that he had just returned from Tokyo. Amber was confused as to why the world government would send an enforcer who is usually given the most difficult tasks to a place like that. The general told them to get used to each other, as they were going to work as a team. They both shook hands, and Amber found his fashion sense and usage of words interesting. The general informed them that they would leave for Seoul the very next day, which made Amber flinch. The general told them that the mission was really important, and thus the decision was made in a hurry. Meanwhile, in the lawless city of Seoul, a gang named Gangcheol sergeant of the Gangcheol faction had gathered for a meeting. One of the members informed them that a new administrator had already been appointed. The other members seemed a little afraid of the news. The member further informed me that the new administrator would arrive the next day at the Gimpo airport. The leader of the gang told the informant, Bag Cheol, that his information has always been right, so they'd assume that this news would also be correct. The boss was furious, as they had taken down the last administrator just a few days ago, and yet they dared to crawl back. He told one of the members, named Han, that he did well last time and was thus appointed to take down the new administrator too. Han grinned, as this was an opportunity for him to prove himself. Han didn't like Bag Cheol and wanted to be his superior. He ordered one of his fellows to prepare the girl as they would need her power again. The girl he was talking about was a teenager who was using her power to levitate cubes in her hands. The next day, while on the flight, Amber noticed that Alpha hadn't spoken a single word. She looked through the window and saw a destroyed Seoul. Alpha told her that it wasn't always like that, as it once used to be full of life and beauty. Amber reminded him that that was 100 years ago and remarked that he spoke as if he had actually seen it back then. Alpha flinched and said that he wanted some soju with pork belly. Amber was weirded out by his behavior. Soon the flight landed, and one of the gang Chial's members informed Han that the new administrator had arrived and asked him to do as planned. Han was amazed that Bang Chial's information was correct, and he ordered the girl to do her job. The girl seemed uninterested and unwilling, but she still used her power. She raised her hands and let out an energy wave that went through the airplane. It was like she was scanning the plane. She informed the men that she could see a young woman and a man with a gas mask. Han seemed confused as they weren't told about a man, but he could not back out as the boss would not be happy. He ordered them to do just as they had planned. Amber complained that it had been a while since they had arrived, and still there was no flight crew. Alpha told her that the service there was usually bad. Suddenly, he saw something through the window. A truck was coming in their direction at full speed with something latched on its body. Those were bombs, and the truck was about to hit the airplane. Alpha was stunned, and he quickly yelled to get down. He jumped at Amber as she too saw a truck heading in their direction. A bright light blinded Amber as the truck hit the airplane, causing a huge blast. When Amber was young, her family was really poor. The war that almost ended the world made everyone poor for many decades to come. The world government was there to solve the problems and the instability in the world. It was then, when she saw a poster of a woman civil servant on the wall, that she realized that to get out of poverty, she had to become a civil servant. She made it her goal to become one, and the journey wasn't as easy as it seemed. After 5 attempts, she barely managed to pass. However, she was without any support or connections and was destined to be looked down upon. But even then, she didn't give up. She worked harder and harder to climb the social ladder. The truck's explosion created a hole in the airplane. Amber composed herself and looked around in the smoke to understand what exactly had happened. She suddenly looked for the enforcer. Alpha lay motionless on the ground, with big shards of glass puncturing his body. Amber knew he was dead after seeing his state. She wondered if he got caught in the explosion while he was covering her. Before she could do anything, she heard the gang members approaching the airplane, looking for her. One of the members ordered the others to capture her if she was alive and kill her if she was dead. Another member reminds him that if she's already dead, then how would they kill her? Amber peeked at them from the window. She knew that the previous administrator didn't die from some accident. She quickly pulled a gun, which Alpha was carrying. She took a position and said to herself that she was abandoned by the government. She questioned herself, and suddenly a voice said that she was wrong. It was Alpha, who was now standing behind her. He told her that she wasn't abandoned and that she was stuck as an administrator because she thought so low of herself. He removed the shards from his body and told her that the general would never abandon his underlings. Amber was shocked and asked him who he really was. He opened his case full of guns and said that he was the world government's first enforcer, Alpha. He told her to trust herself and see where she was. The gang members entered the smoke-filled airplane. A grenade falls right in front of their feet, and the blast throws them off the aircraft. Alpha stands at the opening created by the previous blast and asks if they were pretending to be the SWAT team. The members began shooting at him. Alpha jumps at them, dodging some bullets and taking some. He landed on the ground and swiftly began firing at them. His aims were precise. During the crossfire, a bullet hit him in the head. He stumbled a little and complained that it hurt. While taking several more shots, he killed most of the members. One of them asked him why he wasn't dying. Alpha gleefully answers that because he was a monster. He left a couple of them alive. One of the members aimed a missile launcher at him from behind, but before he could pull the trigger, Amber shot him in the head. She was amazed at how Alpha took care of all of them alone. Alpha remarked how he thought she was a crybaby, but she proved to be useful. Amber felt embarrassed and said that it looked like a planned attack, which meant there was a spy on their side. Han was shocked to see most of his men dead. He blamed Bang Chial for not informing him about the man. He suspected that maybe Bang Chial set them up for the massacre. He told his men that they would withdraw the mission and figure out who the man in the gas mask was. He ordered his men to collect all the available guys. In some other part of the city, a dangerous-looking man got a call. He picked it up while there were dead bodies lying all around him. He told whoever was on the other side that he just took care of some revolts in the Bakgu faction. He added that it was quite boring. The person on the call informed him about a new toy that interested him. He got the location, and he replied that he would head to the location right then. He informed his henchmen about the new toy and told them that it seemed like a strong toy. His men grinned and said that it would be fun then. Amber and Alpha arrested one of the gang members. Amber asked if the member was dead because he looked lifeless. Alpha told her that he was alive because he only hit him once. He added that he might have punched him too hard because he called him a monster and he didn't like it. Amber thought to herself that she too thought that he was a monster. They heard tires screeching nearby. The police had arrived, and Alpha taunted that the police surely did come early. One of the policemen introduced themselves as the head commanding officer and inquired if they were both all right. Amber seemed not so happy and questioned the head commanding officer about why they arrived so late. He apologized to her and said that he would first interrogate the terrorists. Alpha stopped him and said that he would interrogate them. The officer seemed confused, and Alpha reminded him that it was the enforcer's privilege and asked if he had any problems. The officer denied having any problems and said that he would show them their headquarters. Alpha asked Amber not to let her guards down because he could smell something fishy. After the nuclear war that almost ended the world, many government agencies ceased to operate effectively. But some regions naturally formed their own police forces, and Seoul was one of those regions. But the naturally formed police forces weren't able to do their job properly, and they were too weak to stop the gang organizations. So the World Organization sent help to the Seoul police forces. At the Seoul police station headquarters, Alpha was interrogating one of the gang members. He asked the member that was his attempt to assassinate the administrator, a retaliation against the world government. He asked him to tell him who was behind all of it. The member said that he would not betray his gang and asked Alpha not to make him laugh. He added that they had just stepped into hell and said that he spat on Alpha. The commanding officer asked Alpha to let him continue the interrogation. Alpha said that the gang member didn't seem interested in answering, so why not interrogate another person? Alpha got up and grabbed the commanding officer's head and slammed it on the table, leaving both the gang member and the officer stunned. The officer asked him what he was doing and said that it was against the rules. Alpha told him to shut up and said that if he said another word without his permission, then he would kill him. One of the inspectors rushed in to protect the officer, but Amber aimed her gun at him and told him to back off. Alpha, still holding the officer's head on the table, remarked how shameful it was for a civil servant to work for a gang. Alpha explained that ambushing them at the exact time and location itself made him realize that something was wrong right from the beginning. It was impossible without someone from the inside handing out information. Even the police dispatch was delayed on purpose. He offered the officer a chance to redeem himself by asking him to tell him everything he knew. The officer remained silent for a while, which infuriated Alpha. Seeing his fury, he was ready to spill everything. The gang member called him a traitor, and before he could say anything else, Alpha knocked him out with one punch. The officer began telling him everything. After the interrogation ended, Amber asked him if every enforcer was like him, but Alpha was lost in his thoughts. He was thinking about the information the officer had spilled. The officer had confessed that the mastermind was Sergeant Gangcheol, a gang that was organized like an enterprise, but the scale was quite considerable, and the police were aiding them. Amber could not believe it when he told her the entire thing. There was plenty of evidence proving that they caused the havoc, but she and Alpha could not do anything. Alpha explained that it was they who brought order for all those years after the war, and they were in their territory. Everyone there was controlled by them, and the stations there were optimized for their control. Alpha was furious that those parasites still existed. While sharing more, Amber confessed how she was always judgmental of herself, but Alpha reassured her that the reason she, out of everyone, was chosen was because she was better than the rest. He warned her that those men would come again a second time, and they needed to be ready. Amber was anxious since they could not even trust the police. Alpha, acting like the main character, assured her that she needed not worry as he was there. Meanwhile, Han had summoned the dangerous-looking man and other powerful people from all around Seoul. They were called Team 3 Special Agent 5. The dangerous-looking man asked Han if he was sure that the matter was important enough that he had to assemble all of them together. Han informed them that there was a chance that the gas mask man was an enforcer. The people in the room were shocked and stunned by this news. There were 4 men and a girl, making them a team of 5. Han explained that the world government had the tendency to wipe out any gang while they were going to build the dome. He ordered them to use whatever means necessary to get rid of the enforcer. The team of 5 was ready to take the enforcer down. All during the meeting, the girl who earlier helped Han in scanning the airplane with her powers was eavesdropping on them. At the Seoul embassy, Amber and Alpha were reporting to the general on a video call. They filled him in on the inside job and everything. The general concluded that it was indeed a dangerous mission for Amber. She asked him if there was any hazard pay for this, but the general disconnected the call. Alpha asked him about the plan, and she told him that the priority was to gather information. With the police unable to fully control the situation, a frontal assault would be impractical. Alpha added that the officer also didn't know much about the scale or power of the gang during the interrogation. Fortunately, the embassy's defense was pretty good, so they decided to make it their base and start collecting information. Amber felt trapped in the embassy, and Alpha announced that the very next day he would go and find someone they could cooperate with. Amber suggested he take a few embassy officers with him, but he refused, saying that they would only get in his way, and that he liked to move alone. Amber was still anxious, but he assured her that she didn't need to worry about him. After he left the room, Amber thought to herself that the more she saw, the more peculiar a character he was. The next day, Alpha was out on the streets, alone. He stood in front of a watch repair shop, but the shop was closed. He shattered the door's glass and opened the gate from inside. As he walked inside, someone aimed a gun at his head and asked him not to move, or else he would blow his head off. Alpha easily grabbed his gun and, in seconds, dismantled the gun completely. The old man looked stunned. Alpha remarked that age had made the old man slow. The man's name was President Kim. The man asked if the gas mask man was really Alpha. Soon they both sat down to have tea, and Kim asked him what brought him back after nearly 30 years. Alpha had lost track of time, and he remembered the days when Kim was operating as a vigilante group on the land. Kim said that he was now just an old retiree and was about to close the shop too. He also asked him if he really didn't age at all, to which Alpha didn't reply. Kim added that he was still using the same gas mask and asked if it smelled musty. Alpha ignored it all and told him directly that he needed Kim's help. He, who once hunted brutal gangs mercilessly in Seoul, the quiet retirement didn't suit him at all. Kim looked confused and asked if the situation was so desperate that he needed an old man's help. Alpha added that he needed his intelligence and not his fighting skills. Alpha demanded if he would cooperate, and Kim asked if he had the right to refuse. Alpha plainly told him that if he refused, then he would take him by force. Kim commented that he was still the same old brute. After accepting his proposal, Kim told him to change the location as he had a hideout elsewhere. Suddenly, someone began raining bullets into the shop. It was Victor, one of the new 5 agents of Han. He held a machine gun in his hand and had a buff body. Alpha and Kim dodged the bullets and hid behind a table, and Kim asked if he had brought a tail with him. Victor looked Alpha in the eyes and asked if he was concerned. He added that he would end the rat chase and would kill him right there. He announced that Alpha was completely surrounded, and the faster he would give up, the easier it would become. Kim recognized him and said that the Cheol gang had hired agents from foreign lands. Alpha suddenly asked Kim if he didn't have a secret passage in the shop. Kim was amazed that he still remembered that, and they both crawled towards the passage. Meanwhile, Victor wondered why the shop was too quiet and questioned if they were dead already. When he went inside, he didn't find them, and soon he saw the door to the secret passage. He fell to the ground, feeling defeated. He called the dangerous-looking man, who happened to be his superior, and informed him about their escape. The dangerous-looking man got furious and called him a Yankee. Victor corrected him, saying that he was Russian and not a Yank. When the man learned that Alpha had escaped through sewage, he quickly concluded that there was no way the new enforcer had learned all the sewage pathways already, and thus he must have a collaborator. He ordered one of his men to call someone named Hat. In the sewage pathways, Alpha said that it had been a while since they were both in that sewage. Kim agreed, saying that they used to hide there when they were outnumbered. The maze-like structure made it easy to lose them. People who didn't have a map could not even enter the place. They reached a point where there were 2 ways in front of them, and Kim could not remember which way was the right one. Alpha easily remembered the right path, and Kim remarked that he was indeed getting old. Kim added that it was not just about the age. He also realized that Alpha somehow knew the structure of the place, like it was in the back of his hand, like he knew the place even before he knew him. Kim, with a confused look on his face, asked Alpha just how old he was. Alpha again did not reply. Alpha suddenly sensed something and asked Kim to stop. He said that he heard multiple footsteps coming towards them. Kim questioned how they tracked them there and said that they had nowhere to hide. Alpha seemed lost in his thoughts, and soon the men caught up to them. They began shooting as soon as they saw Alpha's glowing red gas mask in the dark. Multiple bullets hit Alpha, but he didn't fall. He quickly took down most of the men using his shotgun. One of the men asked him why he would not die even after getting shot. Alpha killed each man, and then they both kept walking casually. Kim called him a madman, and they decided to flee before they sent more men. A sharp knife came flying right at Kim's face from the shadows. Just before it could pierce his face, Alpha stopped it by letting it puncture his palm. Someone asked him from the shadows if he would not die after getting shot by a gun. The man added that Alpha could still feel the pain though. Kim warned Alpha that whoever he was dangerous. Alpha asked Kim to let him handle that. The man walked out of the shadow, asking if Alpha was a mutant. He added that it was the first time he encountered another mutant other than the teenage girl they used. The man was one of the 5 agents of Han. Wearing a hat and a sick grin on his face, He looked devilish. He said that he wanted to check if Alpha would be alive after getting his head decapitated.
The guy with a huge grin on his face asks Alpha, that isn't he curious as that will he still stay alive after getting his head decapitated? Alpha falls back a little with his knife in his hand. The guy asks him that is he seriously thinking of having a sword fight with him, as if he does it will be good for him, as it is his speciality. He rushes towards Alpha in an attempt to kill him for real this time, with a huge grin, but Alpha ends up dodging the attack. Alpha thinks that this person is indeed fast, and the guy throws multiple slashes at him, and Alpha dodges all of them very effectively. Alpha thinks that even though his opponent is throwing using big movements, there are no blind spots in his attack, and that this guy is not just all talk and no show. He thinks that the guy is a genius with his knife, and the guy asks Alpha with a huge grin if he is alright, as he asks him to show him more of what Alpha has got. He slashes using his sword, but again Alpha ducks and dodges the attack, and the guy asks him that, until when he will dodge and start fighting back. Alpha receives multiple slashes on his shoulders, and while laughing, the guy holds his hands up to attack another time, asking Alpha if that is all that he has got. To his surprise, he is kicked back by Alpha, and he is backed by the wall. Alpha comments that it is quite easy for him to excite the guy, and goes for a punch straight to his face. The guy with the cap dodges and ends up hitting the wall instead. There is a huge dent in punch. The guy gets up as he comments that Alpha is like an animal. Mr. Kim wonders that since Alpha is pushing the guy back then he might have a chance, and glances over the shotgun that was dropped onto the ground. He thinks that now is chance. The cap guy seems to have noticed that Mr. Kim was going to pick up the shotgun, and he throws his knife at Mr. Kim as he asks him what he thinks he is doing. The knife hits him right in the leg, and Alpha yells, calling Mr. Kim. The guy leaps towards Alpha as he proceeds to slash Alpha's head in half. Mr. Kim was left surprised that Alpha's head was slashed off. The guy turns towards Mr. Kim laughing like an inhuman, as he exclaims that he got them now, and is laughing like a menace that he has now killed an enforcer. He comments that Alpha isn't even strong, and Mr. Kim replies that didn't the guy in the cap ask whether Alpha would still be alive after getting decapitated? He in fact adds that Alpha doesn't die from something like that, and Alpha's head reattaches back to his head. The capped guy's facial expression changes into worry, just as he realizes that. The capped guy turns out, as he is just as surprised, and Alpha grabs his face with his hand, and holds the guy in the air, and informs him that the sword technique he used was good, nice however. It's unfortunate that it doesn't work against him. He further adds that it turns out that the capped guy was just unlucky, as the capped guy tries to slash Alpha, however is unsuccessful. One of the slashes hit Alpha's mask, and Alpha wastes no time in smashing his head against the wall, then drags his head and throws him against the wall. The capped guy falls to the ground. Dead. Alpha sighs a breath of relief as he turns around to face Mr. Kim and informs him that he should stand up and adds that he will help him. Mr. Kim replies that he is aware that he is old, however. He still has his pride. Alpha let him know that Mr. Kim is the definition of the quote, "You are nothing without your pride," and Mr. Kim laughingly curses him. Back at the headquarters, the administrator talks to herself that it is probably time that she should have gotten a call from Alpha. However, she remembers that Alpha asked her to not worry about him. The administrator stands up as she talks to herself, that even though it is concerning, maybe she should send some rescue teams. Before she should continue her sentence, a girl enters the window which ends up breaking. The general is in shock, as she screams that is this an ambush, while the girl on her feet as she exclaims that she has barely made it. She asks Amber that she really the administrator? The administrator is a bit confused. In an abandoned area on the outskirts of the city, Alpha gets out of the manhole and helps Mr. Kim get out of it as well. Alpha informs Mr. Kim that it is the outskirts, and he believes that he has now lost them, and Mr. Kim replies that that is a relief. While Alpha wonders that it is good that they have lost them. However, Mr. Kim's leg injury is worrisome. Mr. Kim is taken back by the noise, and Alpha turns his head to see what that really is. It turns out to be a helicopter. Mr. Kim is shocked that these crazy bastards have even sent a helicopter to catch them, and Alpha replies that no, it is not them, as if you look closely at the symbol they were on Alpha's side. Soon the helicopter lands, and Alpha helps Mr. Kim get onto the helicopter, Before they could get on the helicopter, the general arrives and comments that Alpha is actually alive. Alpha replies that he is glad to see her, and asks that she even came after he told her to not worry about, as she is a kind person. The administrative replies that no, it is just because Alpha was running late. Alpha introduces Mr. Kim to the administrator as their information collaborator, and Mr. Kim replies that she can just call him Mr. Kim. Administrator, or Amber, holds the door and info. Him that he is the guy they have been talking about, and thanks him for his cooperation. However, she first informs them that she will send him to the nearest hospital to take care of his wounds. Alpha asked the administrator how she knew about the location, and she replies that it is better that they talk about the matter when they get back to the headquarters, as the situation has gotten a bit more complicated. Back at the World Government Embassy, a girl with a blue jacket and a beanie greets Alpha. Alpha stands right there, unmoved. He asks Amber, "Who is this little kid?" We now go back to the past, where the girl when she smashed through the window. Amber pulled out her gun, yelling that it was an ambush. The girl asks Amber that she is the World Government Administrator, and Amber points her gun at her. The Good informs her that she should wait a minute as she is not there to fight, and informs her that instead, she is the help. Amber asks her what she is talking about, and she replies that the administrator's enforcer is in huge trouble right now. Back at the present, Alpha asks Amber that she is telling him that the little girl knows everything about them. Amber lets him know that it is true what Alpha has said, as everything moves precisely. Alpha looks over at her and asks her who she really is. She informs him that her name is Nadu-un. Alpha tightly grabs her head, with both his hands, as he informs her that in a frightening voice that he is not asking for her name. Amber tells Alpha that she is a psychic, which means she is basically an esper. She furthermore adds that apparently the girl can do clairvoyance and telekinesis, as well as can see very far. Moreover, she informs him that it's scarce, as she wonders how the Kang Keel Gang got an esper on their side. Amber adds that it isn't new, as they have already seen other criminal organizations hiring an esper, and Alpha replies that which would then make sense that she could run through their securities. Na-dun calls them out, as she asks them that is there anyway, she could help the two, and Alpha asks her what she is talking about. Na-dun starts her story, that she was forced to help the Kang Keel Gang because they were threatening her, and she even considered running away with her esper abilities. However, she didn't know where to go after escaping. She looks over at Alpha and says that Alpha can change that, as he is a strong enforcer. She tries to stand up as she informs Alpha that what if the world government is trying to achieve world peace, she would want to help them out with her abilities. Moreover, with tears in her eyes, she says that she has already done so many bad things, and asks Alpha if he can help her. Alpha looks over at her, and it reminds him of his daughter, who in Alpha's hands asked him to live until the world became peaceful again. Alpha thinks to himself that his daughter was just as old as Na-dun. Alpha proceeds to pat her on her head and pushes her back to the sofa to sit. He tells her that he is delighted to hear that she will help them, but however, there is nothing she can do in the embassy. Na-dun tries to argue but is shut when Alpha lets her know that enforcers do not need help from a little kid like her. Furthermore, he tells her that he won't kick her out since she has escaped from the Kang Keel Gang, but it will be good for her to live in the embassy quietly. Moreover, he tells her that if she does something suspicious, he will have to punish her, and Na-dun sits on the sofa, disappointed. Amber and Alpha take a walk down the hallway when Alpha informs Amber that she should tell her superiors to protect Na-dun and ask them to pick her up from the embassy. Amber argues that it is a pity, as Na-dun's ability would be of great help to them. Alpha replies that even though she has special abilities, she is just a kid, and kids shouldn't get involved in things like these. Alpha is a bit curious as he asks Amber how the Kang Keel Gang would react to finding out Na-dun has escaped. The same day at the sewage where the fight happened, the Special Team 3 that includes Choi Hyung-min witnessed the capped guy dead on the floor with bloodstains all over the wall. Choi calls his boss informing him that the hat guy is dead and it wasn't even close. He further informs him that the enforcer is a lot more stronger than they expected. The boss sighs as he informs him that it's fine, and that he will do the job next time while he smokes his cigarette. At the World Government Embassy in North America, Alpha is in a video call with the general. The general asks him, is it really an Esper girl? And Alpha responds that it indeed is, and in order to protect her from the Seoul gang, he suggests that the general should send some reinforcements to transport her to the headquarters safely. The general asks him reinforcements, and informs him that it will be complicated right now, and can't send reinforcements for now, so Alpha will have to keep her safe for now. Alpha argues that this isn't a kindergarten, and they don't have time to take care of the kid. The general replies that he saw the chart, and that since she is around 17, she isn't a kid anymore as nowadays, and especially in these harsh environment, she is practically an adult. Alpha responds that she is still a kid, and the general replies that he knows she technically underage, however he is talking realistically there, and Alpha can't just keep using old ideologies. The general asks him to keep Nadun with them for now, and hangs up the call. Amber asks him to, that means they will have to keep Nadun with them for some time. Alpha comments that he will be keeping an eye on her, as in his experience, one can't predict what Espers will do next. Amber asks him, that isn't he a kind of Esper himself? And the question catches Alpha off guard. Amber continues that he means that he can instantly regenerate after being shot and blown up. Alpha replies that it is different in this case, and a silence envelops after Alpha's answer. Amber wonders that it is all that he was going to say, and is he not going to her more about it, as she is pretty curious. Alpha breaks the silence and asks her where Mr. Kim was, and she informs him that he will be discharged soon, but will need crutches for a while. Alpha comments that a limping Mr. Kim will be fun, and Amber is confused that how will it be fun. At the VIP room, Alpha enters and asks Mr. Kim how he was doing, and finds out that Nadun is feeding Mr. Kim. She asks him to eat some more fruits, and Mr. Kim replies that sure, and thanks her. She tells him that since he is hurt, he will give it to her, and Mr. Kim replies that his hands are just fine. Alpha questions what is going on. Mr. Kim informs Alpha that Nadun is such a good girl, and even though he doesn't have a daughter, he suddenly feels like he has a granddaughter. Mr. Kim informs her that he has nothing special to give her, and asks her if she would want to eat a cookie, and it seems like she is really hungry as she thanks him. Amber comments that Mr. Kim is much kinder than he looks, and Alpha comments that him and kind, the old man? He asks her to live and learn. Amber approaches Mr. Kim and tells him to stay in the embassy for the time being, as she will help him in any way she can as an administrator. And Mr. Kim thanks her and informs her that the information he has been collecting can finally see some light. He asks Nadun to grab him a glass of water, and Nadun uses her skills to grab the glass of water. Alpha hits her on her head, as he tells her that he did warn her to not use her abilities while she was there. Nadun tells him that she used it out of habit. Alpha asks her to go back to her room and informs her that she shouldn't forget that she is in surveillance. Alpha informs Amber and Mr. Kim that he will send Nadun to her room. After they leave, Mr. Kim informs Amber that to think that an innocent girl like her was captured by a gang and was being used by the gang. Amber cuts in and tells him that it is a pity. Mr. Kim asks Amber what she is going to do with the child, and she informs him that the government has a child protection, which also has an area for espers. She continues that she will send off to get all the help she needs. Mr. Kim sighs and says that it is relieving to hear that. Amber wonders that he has a lot of affection for her, and that she should lighten the mood since it is only them two in the room. She thinks that since it is only them two in the room, it's the best chance for her to ask about Alpha. Amber takes a seat and tells him that she heard that Mr. Kim and Alpha are quite familiar with each other. She asks him how they met. Mr. Kim is a bit surprised that Alpha said that, and tells her that they did know each other for a long time as he sips his water. Amber informs him that the time she met Alpha for the first time in this mission, he is a hard person to grasp, and Mr. Kim replies that he understands. She asks him that if that is the case, then he should know a lot of things about Alpha, and he replies that he does have a lot of secrets, so he doesn't fully know. However, he still can't forget the first time he met him. We go back to the past, which was more than 30 years ago, where Alpha saving Mr. Kim from danger was the first time he met him. However, he didn't tell Mr. Kim even once why he even came. Even then, they fought the gangs together and were a good duo, and they lived like that for 3 years. But suddenly, one day, Alpha disappeared into thin air without even saying goodbye. And at first he felt betrayed. Now that he think about it, He has never even seen his face. Back to the present, he informs Amber that he is telling her this because she should try to not have an affection for him, as he lives as if he is in a different world. He lives like a ghost. Amber walks out of the room and talks to herself that now she is even more curious about Alpha. She replays Mr. Kim's words in her mind and questions that he is living in a different world, and continues that she feels like she knows what Mr. Kim meant by that, and doesn't know what that means at the same time. She continues to think that Alpha hasn't changed for the past 30 years, and wonders what Alpha really is. One of the guard rushes towards Amber, and she asks what is going on. He replies that it is the police, and that they are revolting against the world government. Amber is shocked to her core after hearing this news. At the West Police Station, a lot of policemen have gathered, and to lead them, it is Seoul Police Senior Superintendent General named Cho Pil-do. Back at the embassy, Alpha asks Amber that is the information trustworthy, and she replies that since the information is verified by their side, it is probably true. Alpha replays that the police opposing them is not just a simple matter. Amber apologizes and informs Alpha that it was her fault as an administrator, that she didn't anticipate that earlier, and Alpha responds that it really isn't her fault, as she didn't have much information to start with, and either ways, it is more important to focus on how to solve the problem. Amber questions how, as only if they had some more detailed information about police. Before she could complete her sentence, she hears a voice from behind, asking to leave the information to him. Of course, it is no one other than Mr. Kim, as he approaches towards them with his crutches. He further informs her that the rebellion the police is causing has something to do with Kang Chil Gang, and in fact, there is a huge probability that is the reason why they are causing all of this ruckus in the first place. Amber asks him how he knows about this, and Mr. Kim replies that even though he retired a long time ago, he still has some connections. Amber asks him that can he find how big the rebellion is and who the head of the rebellion is. He informs her that he will try his best and leaves. Alpha asks Amber if she has a plan and tells him that when she first found that the police and Kang Chil Gang were working together, as she knew that it was going to be hard to figure out who the traitor was. She adds that since they are rebelling, this might be their chance to get rid of all the traitors. Alpha thinks that she is trying to get the best out of the worst situation, and that is pretty impressive. She informs Alpha that they should for a walk. Secretly, as don't they too have police connection too? At Inspector Jong's home, Jong is sitting on the couch as he talks to himself, that to think that the situation would turn out like that. He thinks that since he was also with Jo Pil-do chief security officers, and cooperated with the Kang Chil Gang as well, but to think they would react this radically is almost like they are declaring a war on the world government. He wonders what he should do, as if he stays with Jo Pil-do. It's too hard for him to even think about that. His wife approaches him and asks him what is the matter, and asks him if he is experiencing indigestion after dinner. He tells her that it is nothing. She insists that he should let her know, and he snaps that he told her that it is nothing. They hear a ring, and his wife asks him who it could be at this time, and he gets up informing her that he will check. He opens the door as he asks what they want at this time of the night, and it turns out Amber and Alpha came to visit. Amber tells Jong-ho that it is nice to meet him, and the inspector loses it all. His wife approaches from behind as she asks him who it is, and he trying to tell her, but doesn't seem to find the perfect words. Amber presents the flower to his wife, and tells her that it is nice to meet her, and introduces herself, and Alpha, as Jong-ho's juniors. She adds that they came visit while they were strolling nearby. Her wife seems to have gotten the bait set by Amber. She invites them inside, and Jong-ho is sweating hard. She extends herself informing them that they shouldn't stand, and should just come in. She asks them if they have had dinner, and Jong-ho asks that didn't they just have dinner? His wife yells at him that he is being very rude to their guests. A lot dishes are set on the table, as the wife asks them to dig in, even though they don't have much. Amber picks up and asks that are they like barbecue ribs? And just as she takes a bite of it, she says that it is delicious. She asks that is that actually Korean cuisine, and Alpha replies that they are called K-ribs. Alpha picks up a dish and presents it in front of Amber, informing her that what he has in his hands are what Korean people eat the most. Amber picks up the dish and says that the red thing looks really delicious, and when she puts it in her mouth, She makes a weird face and asks Alpha what that was. He tells her that it is called kimchi. Of course it was Amber's spicy, intolerant face, and she wonders that what are they comedians and why they are there. Jong-ho asks them why they are there, and Alpha replies that it is because he wonders that he thinks he should know the reason, since he has reasoned what is happening within the police. Alpha looks him with a scary face, and his aura changes as he informs the inspector that didn't he gave a chance and asks him that he isn't planning anything funny. Is he? Inspector tells him anything funny? He isn't doing anything. Alpha comes super close to him and tells him that he will let him know one thing, and that is the world government will not let go of any organization that causes chaos in the world easily, since once they decide that they will build the dome, it will be built. Alpha adds that it is just a matter of time. Amber wipes her face and informs him that she heard that he also has a son that is about to attend middle school. Jong-ho gets up from his seat and yells that are they trying to threaten him with family, and Amber replies that they didn't do that, and asks him that shouldn't he be a proud father to his son? Amber adds that he knows better than anyone that the world Kang Seoul gang wants is not good for raising kids. She informs him that if he decides to cooperate with them, she will guarantee the safety of his family, and leaves the sentence that she hopes he will take the right decision. After they leave, Jong-ho looks out of the window and sighs. He talks to himself that Amber and Alpha are driving him crazy. Back at the police station, the police chief asks the man that the Team 3 failed, and they even let Asper escape. The man informs the chief that she ran away amidst the confusion. The police chief tells him that it is pathetic, just as he sips his wine. The man informs the chief that the captain of the team would like to meet him personally and ask for forgiveness, and the chief informs him that the man should reject his offer and should let him suffer a bit longer. The man's name seems to be Park Cheol-jung, that they will have to rush their plan. Cheol-jung informs the president that it seems like even the police supervisors have already made up their minds and asks the president if he is sure, and the president replies that yes, he is, and that tomorrow they will launch an attack on the world government. The next day at 9 a.m., the SWAT team seems to be ready with the Scheid and the Riffles as they completely surround the embassy. One of the men talks through the walkie-talkie that they have completely surrounded the building and asks what they should do now. They seem to be talking to the Inspector General. In the police headquarters, the Inspector General replies that they should prepare assault. However, he informs the riot team to not hurt the administrator. At 6:30, the inspector is leaving his house. The inspector dresses up and fixes his tie. His wife wakes up asking him that isn't today his day off, and he replies that it is. However, he still has some work to do. He heads towards the door while he informs his wife that he will be going, and his wife calls him out. She tells him that she always thought that the police uniform looked great on him. The inspector is at a loss for words and remembers that today is the choice he has to make when he sees his wife smiling at him. He rushes towards his wife and hugs her while telling her that he loves her. His wife asking him what he is doing and that he should get going with his work. At exactly 9 a.m. in front of the embassy, waves his hand downwards and all the armed SWAT officers creep towards the embassy. They kick down the door to open it, ask the embassy's guards to drop their weapon and get down on the ground. One of the SWAT team member asks the other to arrest the guards and take away their weapons immediately. He asks the rest of them to move forward. The high-ranking officers talking between each other that the post and the passageway has been captured without any difficulty. The other officer replies that he thought that they would resist aggressively. He is talking about Alpha and Amber. The other officer replies that even if they know about attack, they do not stand a chance against the army. The Inspector General informs the other officer that they should continue the infiltration as they have to capture the administrator no matter the case. Furthermore, he informs them that if they are going to draw the world government for a negotiation, capturing the administrator is a must. The low-level policemen that are managing everything through the computer inform the Inspector General that the embassy is video calling them. The inspector talks to the others that are members of the embassy planning to surrender. He talks to himself that he wonders what they will speak about and informs the person at the computer to call them. Amber pops up on the large TV projector. The general tries to greet Amber, but Amber directly talks to him asking him why he is attacking the embassy, as this is an apparent assault against the world government. The general informs her that she had just realized it, and asks her that he guesses the information of the world government isn't so great after all. Furthermore, he talks to her that they are tired of being the world government's dog. Moreover, he continues that what power does the world government have in Seoul, as then it is just better to join forces with the other entities for their own survival, or else it would be great if they would get to run the city themselves. One of the officers who is standing behind the general informs him that the location in the video is the office, and the general tells them to get them. Plus, the general informs Amber that they surrender peacefully, he would guarantee their safety. The general asks the SWAT team to infiltrate, and the team breaks the doors, making their way into the office. The SWAT team asks the administrator to freeze, but however, there doesn't seem to be anyone in front of the webcam. One of the officers, surprised, informs the general that the administrator isn't there, and the general asks him what he is saying as the administrator is right in front of him. Finally, he deduces that this was just a recording and talks to the others that the administrator has escaped, and that is no wonder why they were able to infiltrate this easily. He informs the other officers that even though they have escaped, they can't be very far, and asks the SWAT team to find them. Tension grew on the faces of the policemen when they started hearing someone screaming outside their office of operation. One of the officers yells that what is that sound, and that someone is screaming outside. The general asks the other officers what they are doing, as they should figure out what is happening. The officer rushes towards the door, and just as he turns the doorknob to open the door, his face is hit by the door fiercely opening, and one of the SWAT team members falling inside the operation room. It turns out that it wasn't just one SWAT team member, but multiple that also flew in through the door. The officers and the general is beyond terrified upon the sight of the murdered SWAT members and the policemen. Alpha enter the room as he comments that all of them have gathered inside the room like rats. Someone in a white jacket appears with Alpha, informs them that they are all there just as Mr. Kim said. It turns out to be the admin herself and greets the captains of the police force. She introduces herself to the others, informing them she is the administrator of the world government, Amber. She continues that she came since it turns out that they have been trying to search for her dearly. The general asks her that how is she here, as the entire embassy was surrounded. In a flashback, Amber and Alpha are running away from the embassy, as Amber asks Alpha that will Inspector Jong keep his promise, and Alpha answers that if he doesn't, he would get rid of him. They are then caught by the SWAT team member, who ask them to freeze, and if they move, they would shoot them. Alpha asks Amber to get behind him, and a voice appears from behind asking the members to let them go. It turns out to be Inspector Jong. The SWAT team members try to reason, but are cut in between, as Inspector Jong informs them that they haven't seen anything, and that he will be responsible for everything. Amber thanks Inspector Jong, and Inspector Jong informs her that he has opened the road for them. However, asks them to be careful to not meet any more police forces. In the present, Amber replies to the general's question that not every police officer was as minded as him. The general informs her that it is bullshit and more SWAT team members approach the room. The general asks them that what are they doing to do with just the two of them. Amber instructs Alpha that as an administrator, he orders Alpha to capture every single of the person present in the room. The general asks the guards what they are doing and asks them to arrest the two. The guards rush towards Alpha to attack him. Alpha punches the wooden baton and it breaks, which surprises the guard. Alpha then attacks the guard's helmet and the guard falls on the ground. More of the guards approach to attack Alpha, but Alpha dodges them all and punches one of the guys multiple times with precision and so much speed that they fall to the ground. More guards appear as they try to attack Alpha with their shields and batons. However, Alpha jumps and pushes them all down with great force. Alpha picks up a baton, and one of the guards orders others that Alpha should not reach the general. Alpha replies that they have got it all wrong as he doesn't want to get close to the general. Instead, he just wants to beat the crap out of the guards. The general comments that Alpha is crazy and can't believe that he is an enforcer. The general asks the other officers what they are doing, as they should shoot the enforcer. The officer replies that they are prohibited from carrying a gun. The general ducks and talks to himself that he needs to get out of there, and Amber appears in front of him blocking his path. She asks him where is he trying to go, and the general yells at Amber asking her to move out of his way and calls her a bitch. Amber kicks the general near his upper shoulder, and the general, before passing out, wonders that it is the Brazilian kick that she just used against him. The general falls to the ground, and Amber asks them all to stop moving as the world government will put General Cho Pil-do under arrest, which means they should all stop this meaningless resistance and surrender. The guards look at each other and drop their weapons. Alpha asks her that why does it feel like he did all the hard and dangerous work, while she does all the good and easy work. Amber replies that they are just doing their jobs. 3 days later, Alpha is walking down the corridor with Amber as he talks to her that it was a big task, but she managed to take care of it well. Amber replies that yes, and it was just a few tests back. She had no idea how to solve the situation. Alpha replies that they can now finally focus on Kang Chil gang and asks Amber that doesn't she get it now. Confused, Amber asks him what he's talking about. Alpha asks her that why did they appoint her to a place like this? Furthermore, he includes that she showed that she is a capable woman, especially from how she managed this task. Moreover, he tells her that the director does not make mistakes. Amber blushes a bit, and as she cannot find the perfect words to fit in, and she tells him that, yes. Amber wonders what's with all the sudden compliment, and Alpha heads in front of her, informing her that they should head back as Mr. Kim is waiting for them. In the administrator's office, Mr. Kim informs them that he has gotten new information about the gang. Furthermore, from all the information he has gathered so far, he could pick out some other members that are after them, and the 3 that they are the most rampant out of the gang. Moreover, most of the assault towards the world government was sent by these 3 teams. Amber deduces that the previous administrator's assassin was done by them, and Mr. Kim responded that she is spot on. He continues that not only that, but the members of Jong Yejo are nothing to scoff at, as the entire team consists of hitman, mercenaries, and members of retired Marine. Alpha comes with a conclusion that the guy he met in this sewage was one of them. And did you say that they must be pissed? Mr. Kim informed them that the most important thing is what he is going to tell Alpha, and Alpha is a bit confused at first. Mr. Kim talks to Alpha that does he remember the guy who betrayed them 30 years ago, and Alpha responds that how could he forget that? Turns out the guy's name was Gu Tae-jin, who Alpha took care of and betrayed him 30 years ago, as he should remember that he also had a son. His son's name is Gu Kangmin, who is the head of the Jong Yejo team, thus after them. Meanwhile, in the secret hideout of Team 3, the captain Gu Kangmin, he is sound asleep, and he dreams about shells falling from a gun. A man is holding a pistol in his hand, while someone on the floor is dead with bloodstains all over them. The kid falls down to his knees, and the guy approaches him. The kid looks terrified, and it turns out to be Alpha who is standing in front of him. The kid seems to be the captain, who then wakes up suddenly from his dream. He sighs and replies that, damn it, there is no way that it can be true. Everything that he dreamt of happened 30 years ago, and he has been searching for Alpha all this time. Someone entered to the door, and they greet the captain. The person asks the captain that, why is he hesitating like that? As he brings him news that the police's rebellion had failed. The guy who approached him was the leader of Team 3. He asked the captain that if they show something now, the initiative will return to them. The captain pours in alcohol and helps it down his throat. The team leader asks him that he even listening, and the captain replies that he understood for now, but good opportunities for an assault do not just come often. Furthermore, he informs him that if he entrusted it to them, he should just sleep and wait for the results. The Team 3 leader asks him what he just said, and the captain pats his shoulder, informing him that since when did he have the right to boss him around as he is just a team leader. Furthermore, the captain lets him know that he brought them the gang in because he could not handle it himself in the first place. The team needed to talk to him that the new guy, and he could not complete a sentence as the captain cuts his shot. The cattle informs him that it is not just the team leader who is impatient. The team leader asks him what he meant by that, and the captain replied that he also wants to meet Alpha in person quickly, as he is the guy who is wearing the mask. Same time in the World Government office in the employee cafeteria, Amber, Alpha, and Mr. Kim are sitting together, having lunch while Amber informs him that she would like to thank him once again for his cooperation. It is thanks to him that the internal situation of the police has improved a lot. I do not believe that Mr. Kim gets a lot of compliments, as he informs her that it is nothing special, as he was just doing his job. Alpha answered that it is a good idea to celebrate through a dinner party, but however, he stops Smith's sentence. He informs them that isn't it a bit modest compared to the achievement that they have on the table? He looks over at Amber and informs her that at least he should cut a stick. She replies that the salary of a government official is surprisingly low. Mr. Kim replies that why is he like that, as he should know that he is addicted to food, and especially to noodles, and that it is good as long as the kid is well as well. Alpha asks her why they are even there, and Mr. Kim replies that he bought her here because she said that she wanted to eat something delicious, and that she can't just stay in the room. The girl asks Alpha that does he not wants some spicy seafood noodles, soup, and asks him if she could eat it. Alpha is at lost for words. Amber compliments Alpha that he has also worked hard for this, and thanks him. Alpha replies that hitting and breaking things is his job, and he did just what he was assigned to do. Amber comments that it's his right as he is an expert in that field. She asks him that will he take care of them in the future too, and Alpha replies that yes, he would. Amber asks him that does he really not want to eat, as since he has worked hard, he should eat. Alpha gets up by a seat, as he informs her that no, he wouldn't, while Mr. Kim lets her know that she should forget it, as he has never seen Alpha take his rotten gas mask off. Amber wonders that, is it rude to ask him what story is? They are interrupted when an official approaches them, and Mr. Kim asks him what it is, as they just heard to eat. The official replies that he is sorry, and that it is a message from director of the headquarters. He says that there is something that needs to be conveyed. Back in the administrator's office, the director informs them that he is sorry for calling them suddenly, but it is because there is an urgent matter that has been decided. Amber asks him what he meant by an urgent matter, and a director replies that one more enforcer will take a chartered flight to her location tomorrow. She asks him that an in-person, as does he mean someone who carries out tasks. Alpha asks the director that they said that they did not have the capacity to send people, but they are sending reinforcements for some reason. The director informs him that is not the case, and the person going this time will assist him instead of Administrator Ember. Furthermore, the director informs Alpha that he will have to return and take on different mission. Director informs Alpha that there has been a major incident in Zone 7 Dome, and they have determined that an international terrorist organization is deeply involved there. Moreover, on the other hand, Seoul has become police-friendly, so it should be okay, even if Alpha is not present there. Therefore, he will exchange missions with his successor tomorrow, and leaves Seoul. Moreover, he adds that as a side note, they will also transport the Esper girl. Alpha reply that he understands, and this should do that. Amber wonders what happened as to why Alpha is being replaced by someone else so suddenly. The next day at the airport, a flight lands, and a girl gets out of the plane. She asks Alpha what it is by calling him her senior, and she asks why he did not come to greet her. Her name is Foxtrot, a world government enforcer. Foxtrot hears a voice behind her, greeting her. The voice informs her that it's been a long time. It turns out to be Alpha, who is talking to her, and he asks her how the air is in Seoul. Alpha is with Amber, the administrator. Amber wonders so that is him, the new enforcers who came instead of Alpha. It turns out Foxtrot is not a girl, but rather a boy. He creates Alpha, calling him senior, and Alpha asks him that, does he not get motion sick anymore? Foxtrot jumps in the air while he tries to get a kick on Alpha's face. Amber, as she sees it, is surprised by it. Alpha dodges the attack and throws a couple of punches, but the board taught each other. Foxtrot fondly lands a hit, but it is blocked by Alpha's arms. Foxtrot is forced back into the corner, while Alpha is also pushed back a little. They both look at each other, while Alpha comments that he has become somewhat useful, as it is different from when he was his assistant. Foxtrot replies that his senior has not rusted at all. Amber wonders that is this how enforcers greet each other. Foxtrot mentions that he could go to Sector 7 by himself, but it is necessary to find a senior as they only give important missions to the seniors. Alpha comments that the mission here in Seoul won't be easy either, so he should not keep his guard down. Foxtrot informs him that it is all right and he should not worry. Foxtrot then greets Amber, informing her that it is nice to meet her, and introduces himself as Enforcer Foxtrot. Furthermore, He informs her that from now on he will take on the missions instead of his senior Alpha, and will do his best from now on. Amber is a bit flustered by it, and informs him that it is nice to meet him and reduces herself as Amber. Amber scratches her head as she asks the new enforcer Foxtrot that aren't all enforcers gruff and weird. Foxtrot comments that is just his senior Alpha. Alpha hits him in the head and informs Amber that he heard that she has an appointment at the police headquarters, so now they should say their goodbyes. Alpha informs us that he will stop by the government office, pick up his baggage and the Esper kit, and then leave. Amber lets know that the situation has turned out like that, and she thought that they would see each other a little longer. Alpha replies that that is how their world government officials are, and that it's like she came here overnight. Alpha extends his hand and informs her that if it's fit, they will see each other another day while. Amber informs him indeed, and that he should take care of himself. While in the car, Amber asks him that, didn't he say his name was Foxtrot? And Foxtrot replies that yes, he did. She asks him what is happening in Sector 7, as she heard that it is kind of civil unrest, or something like that. Foxtrot replies that that is correct, and it is. Just as she has heard, as there has been a large-scale anti-government violence in the Dome sector. Furthermore, he adds that the headquarters seems to have considered Senior Alpha as a suitable person. Moreover, the headquarters think that it is the work of a terrorist organization, but now Alpha will start investigating the must-mind behind it. Amber asks him that since he calls him Senior Alpha, they must know each other for a long time. Foxtrot informs her that there is no one among the enforcers who does not know Senior Alpha as, whether it's an object of admiration or jealousy. Senior Alpha's presence is overwhelming within the execution department. Plus, he worked under Senior Alpha during his apprenticeship, so he has a personal connection with him as well. Foxtrot asks Amber that how was it for Amber to spend time with Senate Alpha, and this takes Amber by a surprise. She wonders that well and remembers all of the memories and moments she had made with him. She informs Foxtrot that he was not normal, and Foxtrot laughs it out. The car reaches Toll, and the officers there inform someone through the work walkie-talkie that their Highway 3 checkpoint and the motorcade of the administrator just passed by. The guy sees a car rushing towards the barricades, and he wonders what that is. He shows the light signal for the car to stop, but it does not stop, and it crashes through the barricades. One of the guard opened fires, and he yelled at this is insane, but the car still does not stop and accelerates the barricades. Of the guard yells that several armored vehicles just passed by, and they should inform the higher-ups immediately. It turns out that it was the gang. Captain, as he informs the driver to step on the gas and catch up with the administrator's vehicle. The band quickly catches up to the administrator's car. Amber asks the driver how much longer until they reach the police headquarters, and the driver responds that it will take about 15 minutes. Amber responds that they should hurry up a little, as they have a very tight schedule, and Driver replies that he understands. Suddenly, a car busts into flames behind them, and Amber wonders what is going on. Then, for Sirius, that they are attacking the escort vehicle. He wonders that they are openly attacking near the police headquarters, and they are really relentless, which means that this is the Kang Chil gang that his senior mentioned. Foxtrot yells at the driver to go faster, and when he does press his foot on the gas pedal, there seems to be a guy aiming his missile launcher at the car. Foxtrot takes over the wheel and informs the driver to get out of the way, as dodges the missile that was blasted at them. One of the guys informed the others to keep shooting while Foxtrot asks Amber to buckle up her seatbelts. They dodge multiple missiles, and in the end, the captain of the gang brings out his missile launcher and says to himself that these bastards are ruining the road. He asks the other to get out of the way and takes aim at the car. He fires the missile, and it hits the car. The car crashes by the rail, and when the smoke dissipates a bit, Foxtrot asks how they avoided a direct hit, and when he does look back at the administrator, she seems to be fainted and Foxtrot panics a bit. Her breathing and pulse are stable, and in that case, he wonders that the need to resolve this situation first. Moreover, he had made an emergency call, so it will take about 5 minutes for the police to arrive. No, about 10 minutes to be exact. He wonders that the target is probably Administrator Ember, and wonders how he can hold them off for 10 minutes. He wonders that why hold them off as a senior would have never done that. The members of the gang point in the direction of the car and approach it with rifles and their pistols as one of the guys informs the other that the enforcer is their opponent and they should not let their cut down. To this surprise, a smoke prompt appears in front of them, and one of them yells that it is a smoke grenade. Foxtrot wonders that if it was Serial Alpha, he would have eliminated all of the members. And since he stood far away, the enforcer would contemplate retreating in a situation like this, while enemies are approaching the vehicle. One of the members here is that what is happening? And he gets taken down by a shot in the head. Foxtrot talks to herself or wonders that he will take them down one by one. One of the member yells that this not panic and narrow down the encirclement. Suddenly, Foxtrot appears with smoke and shoots the guy in the stomach. He holds his head by the sagbag and shoots the other two people behind him. Suddenly, a girl appears from behind, and when Foxtrot tries to shoot, she swings her biton, and the pistol goes flying out of Foxtrot's hands. The girl swings her batons towards the enforcer, trying to hit him while he just dodges and lands a kick. But the kick seems to be intercepted by the batons. Suddenly, Foxtrot's back is against another gang's member, and he wonders what that is. So Foxtrot takes out his knife and slashes the member's throat. He wonders that they are pretty skilled, and these are the elite forces that his senior had mentioned. Furthermore, their movements are professionally trained, and he wonders why they aren't making any noise to reveal their location. The girl is smiling, and Foxtrot wonders what is going on. Foxtrot throws his knife at the girl, trying to land a hit, but his knife is blocked by the batons again. He catches his knife midair and wonders that he will catch them before the smoke clears. He jumps over the girl's head and is behind her. As he tries to stab her, he feels a punch by his side on his liver. Turns out it was the captain of the gang, and he talks to the girl that it was a little dangerous, and wasn't she being way too careless? He walks up to Foxtrot and asks him who he is, and that is, he also an enforcer. Moreover, he isn't the same person who he was looking for. Foxtrot wonders that he didn't even sense the captain's presence. The captain asks Foxtrot where the guy wearing a gas mask is.
The story continues at Gimpo Airport, where we see President Kim talking to Alpha and asking him if he's finally leaving again. Alpha replied, "Well, that's how it turned out. Foxtrot is still a rookie enforcer with little field experience. I trust you'll support her as much as you can." President Kim assured him, "Don't worry, wiping out criminals has always been my goal." Alpha said, "Good, I'll count on you for that." President Kim asked Alpha, "Hey, don't you feel even a little regretful?" Alpha, not understanding the question, replied, "Regret, huh? Yeah, I do. Leaving this land without personally wiping out its worthless trash." The president sighed and thought, "Cold-hearted bastard. That's not what I meant." Right then, Nadan arrives, asking, "Hey, Grandpa! Wow, did you come to see me off? I'm touched." She hugs President Kim and urges him to take good care of his health. Kim, gently patting Nadan's head, told her, "Ha ha ha! My dear, you're so kind and sweet. Unlike someone I know." Not that he'd realize I'm talking about him. Alpha heard this taunt while looking at his watch and told Kim, "Let's keep the goodbyes short. We're on a tight schedule." By now, Amber and Foxtrot should have arrived at Police HQ. The scene shifts back to Foxtrot, where she was standing in front of the attacker's captain as he looks at him and thinks that he's strong. The captain compliments Foxtrot. "You're holding out quite well. Well, you're an enforcer after all, but this isn't what I was hoping for." After which, he moves forward to attack Foxtrot and asks her, "Where is the masked one?" Foxtrot barely dodges the attack, but the ground gets destroyed with a single punch. She tries to kick the captain, but he grabs her leg, saying, "Footwork must be her specialty, but this level of skill alone won't do anything." As he spoke, Foxtrot kicked his face, thinking she landed a clean hit. But the captain wasn't damaged at all, so he threw Foxtrot angrily away. Foxtrot fell down, murmuring, "Ha! Damn it, this is a pain in the ass. I can't keep up with him. My body won't move anymore. Physical strength and durability far beyond a normal human. This bastard! Could he be the same kind of enhanced being as Alpha Senpai? The captain walked close to her, grabbed her hair, and asked her, "Well, looks like you're finally in a position to talk. Where's the masked one? Why are you here instead of him? Answer me." Foxtrot asked herself, "Why is he after Alpha Senpai?" Then she questioned the captain. "That's strange. Wasn't your target supposed to be the administrator?" The captain replied, "The administrator? Ah, the higher-ups have some kind of plan, I guess. But personally, I don't really care. I'm looking for someone else." Foxtrot teasingly told the captain, "Ah, the masked one? He's not here anymore. Too bad. He just boarded a plane and left the country." The captain got angry and asked, "What? Don't give me that bullshit." His underlings gave him a sign, so he dropped Foxtrot down and walked away, saying, "Seems like it's about time. Pass this message to the masked one. If he wants to find the administrator, tell him to come to the old Namsan Tower. This message is for him alone. No one else should interfere." As the captain was about to leave with Amber, the soldiers arrived. The Yankee mindlessly opened fire at them, so the captain called him inside the vehicle and schooled him, saying, "You bastard went on another rampage all on your own." Yankee said, "But since it worked out, let it slide. Phew, whatever. We're heading back to the hideout next. We proceed as planned." Soon after, inside an airplane, Alpha noticed Nadan's sad expression, so he asked her, "Why the long face? You're not being sold off. You're being sent somewhere safe." Nadan showed grief while adding, "That's exactly what bothers me. It feels like I'm just running away by myself. I did a lot of bad things with Gang Cheol, and now I'm leaving without taking any responsibility." Alpha asked her, "Do you resent me for sending you away?" She replied, "That's not it, but—" Alpha intervened, adding, "I refused your help not just because you're too young, but because this isn't something you should throw yourself into out of misplaced guilt. Stay at the academy, be with kids your age, and take some time to figure things out, what you truly want to do." He then received a call and answered, "Yeah, it's Alpha. What's going on?" At the same time, inside the cockpit, the pilot was ready, so he told his assistant that takeoff preparations were complete. The assistant was about to close the door after saying, "Then I'll be sealing the cockpit." But as he was about to close the door, Alpha stepped inside and told the pilot to shut the plane down. Soon after, at the hospital, we see Alpha standing in front of Foxtrot and asking the doctor if she's hurt badly. The doctor told him she'll recover, other than some fractures. Foxtrot apologized to Alpha. "They've taken the administrator hostage and are demanding you come alone." "I'm sorry. They were too strong." Hearing this, Alpha said, "That's your excuse? Enforcers always face strong opponents. You were simply lacking. I thought you had improved, but you're still unfit to be an enforcer." Then he asked her, "The attackers, who were they?" She replied, "They seemed like Gang Cheol's elite members, especially their leader. He was much stronger than I expected. It felt almost like the strength of a superhuman, like you, Senpai." Alpha, shocked, said, "That's impossible. You must be mistaken." She replied, "I'm not sure. I barely put up a fight, but he was stronger than anyone I've ever faced. Ah, and the location is the old Namsan Tower." Alpha stepped towards the door, saying, "Get some rest now." On which she warned him, "Be careful, Senpai. For some reason, he's been looking for you specifically. Do you have any connection with him?" Alpha thought, "So the new enforcer we sent wasn't up to the task?" And replied while leaving the room, "It's just the usual bad blood." As he walked outside, he decided he wouldn't inform HQ about the location because they wanted him alone. Nadan walked up to him but got told, "You stay put at the government office." Nadan tried to speak but stopped herself, remembering what Alpha told her in the airplane. In the administrator's office during a conference call, Enforcement Chief Allen showed his grief, saying, "So the new enforcer we sent wasn't up to the task? Someone has to take responsibility for this failure. Look at the consequences of this mission's failure." Alpha heard him and questioned him. "And who exactly do you think is to blame here? From what I hear, this rookie enforcer, Foxtrot, was your pick, Chief, sending a rookie into such a dangerous mission. Wouldn't Delta or Sierra have been more suitable? Even if the situation in District 7 is urgent, there should be limits." The chief angrily told him, "Alpha, I'm the commander of the enforcers. You can't speak to me like that." Alpha said, "You're a commander and a responsible party. Don't forget that. If you're sitting in a bureaucratic position instead of being an enforcer yourself, then at least do your job properly." The general intervened, saying, "Enough. If anyone's to blame, it's me as well. I gave the final approval, but responsibility can be dealt with after we resolve this crisis." Executive Director Marvin added, "Still, Director, do we really need to rescue Administrator Amber? We have many other excellent personnel who can replace her. Frankly, I was surprised when you selected her in the first place." Alpha schooled him immediately, saying, "That's bullshit. Having worked with her on missions, I can say this. She's irreplaceable. Her quick judgment, her ability to execute, even the recent suppression of the police rebellion was thanks to her leadership. Failing to recognize her value and discarding her might as well mean discarding the world government's credibility." The general expressed his remarks on that. "Yes, I chose Administrator Amber because I saw her hidden potential. However, Alpha, even with all you've contributed to the world government, you're still speaking far too harshly to your superiors. Apologize." Alpha apologized to the other two higher-ups rudely, on which the higher-ups asked if that was even an apology. The general, with a grim look, told the higher-ups, "What are you all waiting for? If he apologized, you should accept it, right?" After which they both accepted it. Then the general announced, "All right, Alpha, I'm officially assigning you to the mission to rescue Administrator Amber. You have full control over the operation. Let us know what support you require." Alpha told him that he doesn't need any support. "I'll handle everything within Seoul. You all just focus on District 7. The operation will be as always." The general advised him, "Just don't destroy the hostage too. You know, just in case." Alpha said, "Yes, I know." On the other side, the leader of Team 3 was trying to call Gukong Min. Gukong picked up the call, and the leader shouted at him angrily, "Are you out of your mind? If you've captured the administrator, you should have brought them in immediately. What the hell are you doing out there? Do you want all of Team 3 to end up dead at the chairman's hands? Why the hell are you going rogue? Ugh, you're so damn loud. Replied, "You're the one who called me in to capture Gas Mask, remember? Ever since that bastard showed up, things have been way too noisy. The real threat isn't the administrator, it's the enforcer. That damn Gas Mask, do you seriously not get that?" The leader of Team 3 shouted at him, "And who the hell are you to decide that and go off on your own? The chairman's orders take priority." Gukong hung up the call, saying, Yeah, whatever. I'm a little busy right now. Let's talk later." The leader Han started cursing Gukong as a soldier told him that the chairman wanted to see him. Gukong then sighed and asked the administrator if she really thinks that the enforcer is coming to rescue her. What if the world government decides she's not worth it? She should hope that they don't, because if they abandon her, he won't have any reason to keep her alive. A soldier asked Gu Kang, "Boss, why don't we rough her up a bit? Maybe she knows something about Gas Mask." Gu Kang replied, "Forget it. The enforcer's information is classified, even within the world government. Beating up a local administrator won't get us anywhere. Get the men ready. We'll hold position here at the tower and wait for him." Amber asked herself how things turned out to be like this. They're clearly after Alpha. If he comes to rescue me, he'll be walking straight into their trap. Damn it! And I can't do a damn thing. I'm completely powerless. After this, at the Namsan cable car station, 2 soldiers were taking orders from the higher-ups to head up to Namsan Tower. They were also told not to take the cable car because it's too old and unsafe. The other 2 agreed, saying, "Yeah, we have to walk up there. Orders are orders. Suck it up." The first one asked the other 2 tauntingly, "Wow, listen to you. What, are you some kind of law-abiding citizen now?" They suddenly heard a soldier running towards them while shouting at them to turn on the cable car. Then they noticed Alpha chasing him, on which they both got scared and entered inside the cable car, saying, "Oh shit, move, get in now." As both of them felt they were safe, Alpha attacked them while climbing the moving cable car. He punched the glass window, on which the soldiers tried to attack him, but he blocked one of them and kicked the other one. Then the soldier with the gun started shooting at him, so Alpha took the shots purposely on his arm. The cable car was about to break down. Alpha understood. Then we see the cable car falling behind a little boy trying to catch flies. The boy got scared and looked at the cable car while Alpha came out, breaking its door. He expressed that his whole body was sore, but he was halfway there. Then he advised the kid to stay out of this place and go home. Inside the Namsan Tower's first floor, a soldier reported, "We've lost contact with the perimeter team. They also reported hearing gunfire." Elite Unit Choi Hyung-min told the soldiers that Alpha was here. "Set up booby traps in the forest and prepare an ambush. We must take him down before he reaches the tower." Outside the tower, Alpha runs on the stairs as some soldiers spot him and start shooting at him. Alpha barely manages to hide behind a tree and says that they've already set the dogs loose, then fires back at the soldiers while thinking of getting serious. On the other side of the tower, the soldiers told Choi Hyung that everything is going according to plan. He's moving exactly along the predicted route. Choi Hyung ordered them to keep driving him forward. Once we push him into that place, it's game over. On Alpha's side, more and more soldiers were attacking him, but he precisely shot them down. Then he was about to get slashed by a sword, but he successfully dodged that attack and unalived the attacker while understanding that he was surrounded and someone was coordinating the whole attack. In that case, he thought, I'll break through the weakest point in one swift strike. He then unalived 2 more soldiers and mistakenly stepped into a trap while moving forward. He saved himself and said, "Booby trap." If I hadn't dodged, my upper body would have been blown to bits. So this whole area is a damn minefield. A soldier came running towards the place, shouting that he had heard the trap triggering there. Alpha shot him and sarcastically said that he knows. Then he asked himself, did they deliberately herd me into this spot? The one calling the shots is sharp, annoyingly sharp. Noticing the explosion, more soldiers moved towards Alpha. Alpha successfully defeated them, sending signals to the other soldiers in that area. Choi Hyung asked his soldiers, "What the hell do you mean you still haven't caught him? Then what the hell are all these explosions I keep hearing?" The soldier replied while shuddering, We're not exactly sure either." Choi Hyung noticed the sound of Alpha getting close, and right in a second he was standing behind him asking, "Ha! Looks like I found you by accident. So you're the little rat who's been pestering me with all these cute little traps." Choi ordered his soldiers to move forward, but they got massacred in seconds. A soldier tried to slice Alpha with an axe, but Alpha dodged it and shot him with a shotgun. After which he asked Choi, "So, looks like all your men are down. What are you gonna do now? Gonna make one last desperate stand? Or you could just give up and die quietly. Not a bad choice." Choi ran away, saying, What the hell is this freak? I saw him take multiple gunshots and yet—" Alpha told him to stop while adding, "Ha! I don't remember ever giving you this option." Alpha missed the shot, so he picked up the axe and threw it towards Choi. But Choi slipped at the right moment, which saved him, on which Alpha said, "Lucky bastard, I aimed just right." He looked at Choi with a grim face and said, "What a pathetic sight. If you'd fought till the end, at least you wouldn't look this pathetic. 1,000 warriors to like and
Choi
comment
crawled a bit
next
forward
part.
because he had a trap.
That way, I'll
As
know
he
you
reached
stood
the safe
strong till
space
the
and
end.
pressed the button,
Until next
saying,
time,
"Cool,
stay
haha,
sharp and
don't
don't make
care."
me laugh. You think I'd be crazy enough to go up against a monster like you? The place got filled with smoke due to the blast as Choi continued his delusional words. Just drop dead already, monster! After saying it, he noticed that Alpha was still standing, and he told Choi, looks like I misjudged you. I thought you were just trying to run, but even then, you still tried to lure me into a trap. Too bad the explosives weren't strong enough. If you really wanted to take me down, this wouldn't cut it. Choi stood up again and shot at Alpha while crying. Shut up, you're the monster. Die, die, die. Just die already. Bullets didn't do any damage to Alpha. He punched Choi, after which he started staggering back. Alpha noticed the situation and mocked him, but seriously, where exactly are you planning to go? That way leads straight off a cliff. Choi then fell off the cliff and Alpha mocked him, saying, Ha! What a bizarre guy. With that height, he might have survived. Normally, I'd go down there and make sure he's dead, but I've got more important things to do right now. Lucky bastard. Then inside the tower, Gukong understood that Choi was down, which means he'll be breaching the tower soon. After that, he asked Victor for confirmation. You know what to do, right, Victor? Victor replied, Of course. I guarantee that bastard will never make it past the 3rd floor. Never. At the same time, at the entrance of Namsan Tower, soldiers were searching for Alpha while coordinating. He'll be storming in here any moment. We must never let him enter the tower. Meanwhile, Alpha, hiding behind a bush, observing all this and wondering, they're surprisingly well coordinated. Now then, how should I go about this? One day earlier, at the government administrator office, President Kim told Alpha while showing him a blueprint, Here you go, the old Namsan Tower blueprint you requested. I thought it was completely lost during the war, but I managed to find it. Alpha grabbed the blueprint without asking any questions, so Kim asked him, Aren't you curious how I got it? Alpha replied, Not really. Kim said, Damn bastard, hand it over. Then he added, 239 meters high. After the nuclear war, all taller buildings collapsed, making this the tallest man-made structure in Seoul. It has a total of 11 floors, which is quite few given its height. The lower 5 floors were plaza spaces, and the actual tower starts above them. Gukong Min will probably station his subordinates on each floor to stop you. Alpha replied, Well, I'll take care of that, so don't worry. He then saw the tower and murmured, Namsan Tower, brings back memories. Then he asked Kim, There's something I'm curious about. He pointed his finger at the blueprint and continued, Here, did Namsan Tower have stairs? Kim replied, Well, of course there were emergency stairs, but they weren't really noticeable. Who would want to walk all the way up to the observatory when there's an elevator? Back to the present, Alpha jumped forward, saying, Whatever the case, let's make our way inside. He ran towards the gate, and soldiers fired at him with a machine gun, so he blocked the bullets with his arm, which shocked the soldiers as they shouted, What the hell is that monster? Another one said, Leave it to me, and launched a missile at Alpha. The missile hit the door of the tower. Alpha entered inside, watching many soldiers standing in front of him. He said, Haha, a swift entry. The soldiers started shooting at Alpha, but he defeated them easily. On the 2nd floor, a soldier asked his fellow mate, He's inside the building and they're holding him off on the 1st floor. Wouldn't it be better to go down and support them? The other one replied, Did you forget Chief Gukong Min's orders? We can't leave the 2nd floor! They noticed the elevator moving, so they panicked and got ready to shoot. One of them said, Idiots! Turn him into Swiss cheese when he passes the 2nd floor! The other one, thinking it's a decoy, told others, Wait, would a trained professional really use the elevator so obviously? "Hold on, this is a diversion. He's definitely using the stairs." And the lift door opened. They saw a bomb inside it, which blasted them to dust. Alpha arrived on the second floor, and after watching the casualties, he said, "Damn, they got hit hard. If there were any survivors, I could have interrogated them about where the administrator is. Did no one find it suspicious that I took the elevator?" Now coming up to the second floor was pointless. Suddenly, Victor came out from a wall, shouting, "Ha ha ha! Found you, Enforcer! You're not getting past this point! Never!" Alpha looked back at Victor, asking himself, was it this loudmouth back then? He then questioned Victor. "What is an outsider doing with Gangcheol in this land?" Victor replied, "I move according to my employer's will." Hearing that, Alpha said, "Ah, I see. So, the foreign mercenary that Gangcheol brought into their elite squad is you." Victor proudly stated, "Yes, I'm the great mercenary Victor. I was getting sick of Gangcheol only giving me boring and easy missions. But to think I'd get to fight an enforcer in this land, ha ha ha." Alpha thought, a great mercenary? Never heard of him. Then, he warned Victor, "I'd rather not get involved with mercenary groups if I can help it, so just abandon all contracts immediately and leave this land in 36 hours. If you do that, I'll let you go peacefully." Victor took it as a bluff and said, "Thank you, but I can't do that. When I have a big shot in front of me, it's not every day that we get the chance to fight a world government enforcer." Alpha locked his eyes on Victor, telling him, "Oh, is that so? Then you're marked for elimination as well." He immediately tried to shoot Victor with his gun, but Victor's bulletproof armor easily saved him. Victor, without flinching, added, "Quite the destructive power." "Is that really the best you've got, Enforcer?" Then he fixed his machine gun towards Alpha, saying, "Come at me purposefully unless you want to die." After which he started shooting at Alpha. Alpha dodged the barrage of bullets while noticing that Victor wasn't even scratched by his attack. Victor, annoyed with Alpha's dodging skills, shouted, "Shit! Slippery bastard dodges like a damn rat!" Alpha was having difficulty dodging too many bullets, so he decided to take cover first instead of attacking Victor head-on. He tried to fall back inside a room, slipped behind some mannequins, and entered a safe space for a few seconds. Victor mocked Alpha, saying, "You're not dead already, are you, Enforcer? Come out, let's have some fun. Hey, it'd be too disappointing otherwise." Alpha sneaked his rifle through the clothes and said, "Oh, if that's what you want, I'll oblige." Then he shot at Victor's helmet, but Victor suddenly noticed his intention throughout the whole process. He aimed for my eyes. If my visor wasn't bulletproof, I'd be dead by now, Victor realized. Alpha also understood that even Victor's visor was bulletproof. Victor shouted at Alpha, "This kind of attack is useless." And then he started shooting at Alpha with his machine gun again. Alpha slipped out from the cover and tried to protect himself using his gun bag. Victor shot as many times as he could at Alpha and shouted, "Gotcha! Turn to dust now!" Alpha's gun bag tore apart, so he hid behind the cover. Victor's bullets broke the cover wall Alpha was hiding behind, so he thought, that's some serious power. Taking those hits head-on would be a huge burden. Now then, what's the best approach? He took out a grenade, thinking it would get the job done, and threw it at Victor. The grenade went off with a bang, so Alpha tried to charge at Victor, thinking, with that bulky suit, there's no way he could dodge. Even if his armor stops a fatal hit, he must have felt that. Now's my chance to close in and neutralize him. But to his surprise, as the smoke cleared, Victor shot Alpha, severely injuring him with the bullets. Alpha fell back, and Victor, looking at him, said, "You underestimated my tanker suit, Enforcer." Alpha noticed that Victor wasn't even scratched by the grenade and that he was even tougher than he guessed. Victor said, "I figured you weren't an ordinary human, but still standing after all this is impressive. But this is the end for you, Enforcer." Alpha stood firm, taking support from the wall, and asked himself, "No choice. I wanted to save this for later, but should I even use that here?" Then he said to Victor, Don't get cocky, mercenary. The real fight starts now. Victor laughed it off and said, "Ha! That's ridiculous. I'll admit it's impressive that you're still standing, but what do you think you can accomplish when standing is all you can do?" Alpha got serious and added, Is that what it looks like? Don't get too happy yet. You have no idea who you're dealing with." Alpha then threw his coat down and tightened his muscles, causing all the bullets to fall out of his wounds, and he started healing quickly. Victor saw that and asked Alpha with a shocked expression, "Huh? What, you bastard? So you're a regeneration-type transcendent, relying on something like that to fight? Aren't you ashamed of yourself?" Alpha heard it and teased him, saying, "My fights are not some kind of fair duel. They are one-sided law enforcement. And besides, you hiding behind that armor are the last person I want to hear that from." Alpha then turned a round switch on his face mask, thinking, "I don't want to use this right now, but I might as well take this chance to test its performance." After getting ready, he asked Victor, "What are you standing there for? Come at me." Victor, as usual, started firing with his machine gun, saying, "Don't overestimate your regeneration, Enforcer. I'll turn you into minced meat before you even get a chance to heal yourself," Victor threatened. This time, Alpha was dodging the bullets more frequently, and his speed had increased as well. Watching this, Victor thought, "Huh? What? He's dodging everything. No way. No, he's not dodging the bullets. My aim can't keep up with his movements. He was fast before, but was it ever like this?" Here, we see a flashback of Alpha where a scientist tells him, "That chamber is a type of powerful neuroenhancer. By rotating the internal purification chamber, it instantly releases a dose inside the gas mask." After hearing this, Alpha asked the scientist, "So you're telling me to carry poison gas inside my gas mask? Why? That's self-harm." The scientist replied, "Yes, for an ordinary person, it would be a deadly toxin, but your body is anything but ordinary. At first glance, you seem like a regeneration-type transcendent, but in reality, you're something entirely different. For someone like you, this compound works like a powerful combat stimulant. However, if you keep using it repeatedly, even you might suffer side effects." Alpha asked, "What type of side effects?" The scientist replied, "Temporary paralysis of bodily functions. I'm not entirely sure yet, but you were the one who said you can't die, so any risk shouldn't matter to you." Alpha asked her, "Do you really think I'd rely on something like this?" She replied, "You are always blinded by your objective. For the sake of your goal, you'll use anything and everything at your disposal, won't you?" Back to the present, Alpha was closing in on Victor and agreed with the girl's words. "Yeah, you're right, Borel. I'll use whatever I can. Everything, as long as I can wipe them all out." Before Victor could inflict much damage on Alpha, he closed in and kicked him in the head. Victor fell down and his helmet fell off with the impact. Alpha sat on top of him while grabbing his hand, saying, "You've been crushed under your own weight. Isn't this what they call karma, Victor? Now answer me, where is the administrator? Depending on your answer, this might end with just an arrest." Victor angrily shouted and pushed back Alpha, saying, "The fight isn't over yet, Enforcer." But in a split second, Alpha's dagger was inside Victor's head, which unalived him. Then Alpha said, "So you're not going to talk. Calling yourself a great mercenary wasn't entirely unfounded. Now then, what should I do? Well, since I already destroyed the elevator, they won't be escaping anywhere. I could just take it floor by floor and wipe them all out." Meanwhile, at the same time, at the World Government Headquarters, Nadan was overthinking and remembering Alpha's words. "I refused your help partly because you're still young, but this isn't something you should throw yourself into out of some clumsy sense of guilt." Nadan thought, "I'm not sure, but I think it's completely wrong. I still want to help these people. But why is it really just the guilt?" Then she remembered her grandfather offering her some snacks, saying, I don't have much to give you, but would you like some yoken? She recalled Amber's memory as well, where she was offering her yoken, saying, I never knew you liked yoken back then. It's just a gift, hoping we can get along even for a bit. She grabbed the yoken, thinking, it's not like I love yoken, I just like food in general. Then she thanked Amber. Thanks, Amber, but why is everyone being so nice to me? I was your enemy. Amber smiled and replied, we know Gang Cheol forced you into it. Actually, I have a younger sibling around your age, Duan. When I look at you, I remember my little sibling a lot. Then, we see Nadan activating her powers while getting out of her window, thinking, I don't fully understand, but one thing is for sure. I'm not just going to sit here and do nothing. On the other side of the building, 2 soldiers were standing in front of the administrator, Amber, and discussing, these world government bastards, we have no idea what they're thinking. Sending a woman into Seoul, where our boss Gang Chol has everything locked down, that's a hard decision to understand. The other one suggested, well, maybe she got demoted. The first one said, damn, that's kind of pitiful. He looked at Amber and added, if she was demoted, it wouldn't make sense for them to send an enforcer to rescue her. Then he teased Amber, asking her, hey, administrator, why is the world government so desperate to save you? Amber looked at him without replying anything, so the soldier angrily grabbed her hair, asking, you bastard, aren't you gonna answer me? She replied, who knows? Because the world government would never bow down to a mere criminal organization like yours. The soldier punched Amber as soon as he heard that and added, Captain Gu Kang Min told us not to mess with her, but she looks way too relaxed. It's pissing me off. Then he said to Amber, oh yeah, like you said, we're criminals. So does that mean we wouldn't hesitate to do something nasty? And that reminds me, you're actually pretty good looking, aren't you? I like that angry look on your face even more. How about we help you wake up a little? As the soldier was about to touch Amber, Gu Kang Min arrived behind him, angrily questioning, what are you doing? The soldier froze, in fear. So Gu Kang Min again asked him, hey, when someone asks you a question, you should answer. The soldier looked behind in fear, stuttering as he answered, no, I was just interrogating her. Gu Kang grabbed his head and asked him, did I ever tell you to interrogate the administrator? I don't remember that. You should answer me quick, shouldn't you? The soldier replied, no, sir. Gu Kang threw him down and told everyone, I don't expect you idiots to think for yourselves, so just do what you're told. Stop screwing around. You all think she's weak, don't you? She's tied up. She looks fragile, like you can do whatever you want to her, but you won't beat her. World government administrators all receive a certain level of training, especially this one. She's been through quite a bit. If you want to subdue her, all 3 of you have to attack at once. Then again, what do you guys know? Enough of the talks. Move the administrator. Then, while getting his cigarette lit, he told Amber, you must feel safe, administrator. The gas mask bastard is already closing in. Well, it's not like I ever expected the elite troops to actually stop him. We just need to wear him down a bit before he reaches the top floor. Then he ordered the soldiers to move the administrator to the central hall. Amber fell down on purpose, so the soldiers forced her to get up, saying, damn it! What the hell? Get up quick! Gu Kang Min said in excitement. Who? Hurry up and get up here, gas mask! I really want to see the face behind your mask! Amber, hearing that, thought, at this rate, Alpha is at a serious disadvantage. I need to do something. I need a variable. On the other side, at the stairs, we see the walls tainted with blood and dead bodies of elite soldiers, while Alpha is still slowly walking upstairs. Looking around, he says, Who? This never ends. These guys, there were a lot of them, but not a single one has fired a gun in a while. Could it be that they were trying to make me use up all my ammo? If that was their goal, then they've succeeded. Gu Kang Min, he treats his subordinates like disposable pawns, just meat shields. I have to take him down here before he causes even more damage. As he walked to the next floor, he saw guys with steel bats, expandable batons, nunchaku, and hammers. All of them were carrying blunt weapons. A girl was standing between them too. Alpha looked at her and said, "Oh, I see. You must be their leader. I don't have time to waste right now, so don't think of it as cowardly. Feel free to come at me all at once." All of them didn't move, so he charged, saying, "If you won't make a move, then I will." The girl looked at her subordinates, and they moved forward. The guy with the hammer tried to smash Alpha's head, but missed due to Alpha's flexibility. Alpha cut the hammer guy's stomach, but the wound was too shallow. The nunchaku and the bat guy attacked Alpha from both sides. Alpha blocked them with bare arms and said something like this, "Won't even scratch me." He pushed both of them back and got kicked by the one who was holding the baton. So he complimented them, "Not bad. These guys have decent coordination. Well, I guess what was a 1vs4 just became a 1vs3. How about you try a little harder?" Right then, we see the guy who was holding the bat falling down. The leader girl, watching this, got impressed and thought, that moment, right when he deflected the attack, he instantly shifted his movement and struck straight at the vital point. Looks like my instincts were right. That woman I fought earlier, I could tell just from a brief clash. I was wondering, are all enforcers this strong? Damn it! This is too good. I'm so weak against strong people, especially that guy in the gas mask. I want him. Now, the guy with the baton tried to attack Alpha but got blocked and then cut in the chest by him. Alpha grabbed him and threw him at the hammer guy. Suddenly, the nunchaku guy sneakily attacked, but unfortunately, Alpha blocked it again, saying, "Tsk, this nunchaku is annoying." The nunchaku guy was able to connect many blows at Alpha, but not the lethal ones. Alpha grabbed his nunchaku and killed him, saying, "You shouldn't try to create distance so carelessly, Bruce Lee." The person holding the hammer got his chance, so he flipped the hammer from behind. Alpha dodged it too, saying, "All right, I'll give you credit for your guts," then defeated him with the nunchaku. Now all the subordinates were cleared, so he looked at the lady and said, "All of your subordinates have fallen. I don't know what you're scheming, but now it's your turn." On the other side, 2 soldiers were taking Amber somewhere, but she succeeded in cutting the rope with which her hands were tied. As soon as she got free, she thought, "Yeah, done. Now, I just need to escape. Of course, I need to settle something first." The soldier pushed her to move faster, but instead got punched in the face by her. The other guy tried to subdue her with the bat, but she dodged it and kneed him in the groin. She then asked him, "It was you, wasn't it? The bastard who harassed me." Back to Alpha versus the leader. Alpha was using the nunchaku to fight, and the leader used tonfa to block his attacks. Alpha noticed her skills, thinking, "She's blocking the nunchaku barrage with minimal movement. She's making good use of the tonfa's defensive strengths, but she can't keep retreating forever." She got cornered by Alpha, so he decided to end this, thinking, "There's nowhere left to fall back to. Let's bring this to an end." The lady analyzed Alpha's attack impressively and kicked him into the corner, turning the tables on him. She attacked Alpha's arm with the tonfa, hurting him badly. Alpha pushed her back and thought, "I've been cornered against the wall instead. Did she plan this? I might have underestimated her a little. At this level, she might even be on par with Foxtrot." The girl was crazily impressed by Alpha, so she said to him, Even though your bones are broken, you don't care. You're just too tough. A complete powerhouse. I'm falling for you." Alpha annoyingly looked at her, thinking, "She's acting a little strange." She then moved forward, shouting, "Us!" "Ah, just a little more." Alpha blocked her attack, saying, "You've lost your mind." She inflicted many blows on Alpha, and as soon as she found an opening, she tried to attack his face. Alpha angrily grabbed her tonfa away from his face, broke the edge by pressing it, and said, "My gas mask, I treasure it, you see." Then he pushed her back. Alpha tried to grab her face, but she got down and grabbed Alpha's legs in just a second. Alpha complimented her. Impressive! A flying armbar in just that short moment. She asked Alpha, No way I'm letting go. Should I just snap it right now? Alpha, giving her a grim look, said, If that's the case, then you'd better hurry. You should at least do that before you die. He then punched her face aggressively, after which she surrendered. She added, I lost. It's your victory. The hostage is at the top of the central hall with Gu Kangmin. Hey, you're going to let me live, right? Alpha handcuffed her while telling her, Only if you want to spend half your remaining life rotting in prison. But in return, at the station, you'll have to spill everything you know about Gang Cheol. When everything is settled and the police arrive, surrender quietly. Alpha moved ahead. She asked him, You'll come visit me, right? Hey. He replied, If you want to follow Victor to the afterlife, keep talking. She said, I'm telling you, you're exactly my type. You should really be careful, because the leader is not an ordinary human being, but like you. You're one of those transcendental beings or whatever, right? I don't know much, but I do know that he's one of those kinds of superhumans. Once he starts obsessing over something, he'll stop at nothing. Back to Gu Kangmin, his soldiers tell him that the administrator is still on the second floor. He angrily shouts at them, Find her and bring her here within 5 minutes, or else none of you deserve to live. Then, at the World Government's Seoul branch underground area, inside Boss Kim's secret intelligence room, we see Kim searching about Gu Kangmin and reading, Gu Kangmin is a transcendent. A transcendent refers to a case where a person gains superhuman abilities that are impossible for ordinary humans. They first appeared in the underworld when the world was being rebuilt after the war ended over 100 years ago. Some gained immense strength, others gained incredible agility, or even esper abilities like telekinesis. The most problematic part is this experiment factor. Transcendents are not naturally occurring. They are the result of some kind of experiment. According to the data I obtained, about 97% of subjects died during the experiment or suffered irreversible damage and became unable to recover. Even the few who succeeded in the experiment mostly died young due to side effects. It's only natural that they would be incomplete since they are products of an underground lab. After reading all this information, he said, Those scumbags! They just needed weapons to think they'd commit such cruel acts on children. The only fortunate thing is that due to the extreme technical difficulty and overwhelming failure rate, transcendents are extremely rare. And yet, the fact that Gang Cheol faction was conducting such a high-risk experiment. Gang Cheol, their growth rate is truly terrifying. Suddenly, someone knocked at his door, so he told them to come inside. Foxtrot entered, saying, Here you are, Boss Kim. Kim worriedly asked her, Oh, it's you, the new executor, huh? But, are you really okay to be walking around already? She tried to lie, saying, Ha, it's okay. The executor is basically physically strong. But her back pain showed. Kim asked him, Are you really okay? She replied, There's something I must confirm. Actually, I've heard about you a few times from Alpha Sunbae. He said you're an old friend in Seoul. For Alpha Sunbae to refer to someone as a friend, that's something that almost never happens. In other words, when Alpha was dispatched here in the past, Boss Kim would know best what happened. Kim heard her and thought, That guy? So he still thought of me like that. Kim then asked Foxtrot, I see. So what do you want to know? Foxtrot said, When I was attacked by Gang Cheol's elite squad, I thought their target was the administrator, but their leader was clearly aiming for Alpha Sunbae. It felt like he had some deep grudge from the past. I want to know, who exactly is after my senior and why? Then we see Amber running from the soldiers. She hid behind a wall, and while watching the soldiers, she thought, Damn, they're already swarming all over here. They must have realized I escaped and are tracking me down. I need to get to the lower floor and join Alpha, but at this rate I can't get down there. I have no choice. I need to hide somewhere for now. She then ran to the other side, but a soldier stepped in front of her. The soldier noticed her and tried to hit her with his baseball bat. But before he could, Amber jumped and hit his face with her knee, making him fall down. Hearing this sound, other soldiers saw her and shouted, "Over there!" There she is. Amber ran, thinking, "Tsk." Of course, he wouldn't be alone. She quickly entered the warehouse without letting the soldiers see her. Two of the soldiers told the others, "We'll search the warehouse. You guys keep moving forward." The other two agreed. Then, as the two soldiers entered the warehouse, shouting, "You bastard, we got you now! Come on, get out already!" They were acting as if it was a piece of cake, but suddenly Amber kicked the boxes, causing the soldiers to be buried under them. The noise was too loud, so Amber thought, "Shit, that was loud. I need to move before they gather." But before she could make a move, Gukongming arrived there, clapping his hands and saying, "Whoa, impressive. I'm genuinely impressed by the administrator. What quick thinking. Honestly, I'd love to watch and see how long you can hold out. But it's about time I welcomed my guest. Unfortunately, this is the end of the line for you. You're coming with me." On the other side, Alpha reached the top floor, and as he opened the door and walked forward, he saw an image of his daughter grabbing his hand, running forward and saying, "Dad, hurry up and come here." She walked close to the window and added while looking outside, "Wow, the view is amazing. You can see all of Seoul in one glance." Alpha said something, on which she asked him, "Huh? You want me to step back from the glass to see it?" Then she smiled innocently and teased him, saying, "What, are you scared? A Special Forces soldier getting scared over something like this? That's hilarious. Poo-ha-ha." After which, she rested her head on Alpha's shoulder and told him, "Ah, this is nice. Let's come here often. It's not even that far from home. Can we come with Mom next time? I think it'd be nice if the whole family came together." She then asked him, "Dad, aren't you going to make up with Mom? Are you really planning to live apart forever? Can't you just be the first to apologize?" Alpha stood numb, remembering all that, and thought, "Back then, I couldn't give you an answer. What kind of answer would have been best for you?" "Yeah, it doesn't matter now, because no matter what I say, it will never reach you. At the very end, you told me to stay alive until this world becomes peaceful. Yeah, I'll do just that. Because that's the only answer someone like me can give. If the world refuses to change." Right then, Gukongming came in front of him, saying, "We finally meet. I've been waiting for you, Gas Mask. Did you enjoy all the little surprises I prepared for you?" Alpha did not reply to anything, so he continued. Well, judging from the way you look, it seems you had a great time. With your level of intelligence gathering, you should already know who I am. So let me ask you something. We have met before, haven't we? 30 years ago. Summer, do you remember? What I saw that day was my father, bleeding out, breathless and lifeless, and standing before him, a ghost-like man. But more than anything, what I remember most vividly is that old, ominous gas mask. When I first saw your photo, I thought, no, it can't be. But 30 years later, that same monster appears again. Impossible. Yet now, as I stand before you, I am certain. I am certain that you are that ghost from back then." Alpha heard all that and asked him, "So did you do all this for revenge on your father?" Gukong lit his cigarette and said, "Who knows? We can talk about that later. For now, let's just enjoy this emotional reunion." Then he ordered his subordinates, "Hey, bring her in." Soldiers dragged Amber forward and threw her on the floor. Alpha looked worried watching this, so Gukong said, "Whoa, whoa, take it easy. Bullets might be nothing to you, but if she gets hit, she'll die, won't she? She was struggling too much, so I just immobilized her for a bit. Amber apologized to Alpha, saying, I'm sorry. I was just trying to escape somehow. Alpha said, It's fine. Just stay still, Administrator. From here on, I'll handle it. Then he asked Gu Kang, So, what do you want from me? Gu Kang replied, Surprisingly, you're not that hard to talk to, Gas Mask. Then he told him to follow and added, Inside. There's a perfect stage set up for your final moments. Alpha said, Okay, fine. Let's settle this long-standing grudge there. On the other side, at Gangcheol Corporation, the leader of Team 3 was apologizing to the chairman. The chairman said, According to the plan, Team 3's elite unit should have captured the administrator, but they suddenly went off the radar and are acting on their own. Since you're the team leader, explain yourself. Then he asked, How do you plan to take responsibility for this mess? Should I consider all of Team 3 as a threat and eliminate them? The leader of Team 3 hesitantly replied, Chairman, the ones involved in this situation are only the elite unit, not all of Team 3. If you're looking for someone to take responsibility, then please punish me instead, not my men. The chairman said, You fool! An incompetent man trying to act tough. If you're going to act tough, at least be capable enough to make it worth watching. The leader thought, Shit, I'm screwed. Ha! Why did I have to say something so out of character? Damn it, guys! I'm going first. But to his surprise, the chairman agreed, saying, Fine. I'll give you one last chance to take responsibility, but sacrificing yourself doesn't count as taking responsibility. Take command and clean up this mess. The leader hurriedly added, Oh, of course, Chairman. I'll fix everything. If I find Gu Kangming and bring him back... The chairman said, No, just kill him. The leader asked, What? So the chairman elaborated, Gu Kangming, son of Gu Taijin, one of the monsters we raised in the Gangcheol faction. He is indeed useful. But in my opinion, his loyalty isn't deep enough. He values his own goals more than the organization's interests. This incident made it clear he is a threat. It would be better to eliminate him now. Of course, your men alone won't be enough, so I'll send someone to assist you. Then he called someone else, saying, No objections, right, Director Baek? Suddenly, a man was standing behind the chairman, saying, Leave it to me. The chairman said, Good. This time we must erase every trace of Gu Taijin completely. Back at the tower, Alpha asked Gu Kang, You're doing something reckless. Are you trying to gamble against an executor? Then he said, Whether the administrator dies or not, I won't let you leave here alive. Gu Kang smiled and said, Don't bluff, Gas Mask. You have no intention of letting the administrator die, do you? If you did, you wouldn't have come all the way here. The door to the rooftop opened. He walked forward and added, Come, Gas Mask. I prepared this just for you. Let's settle this here. A stage set 215 meters above the ground. How is it? Pretty amazing, right? He then stopped on the construction beam, looked back at Alpha and said, Don't worry and come up. I made it sturdy enough. Alpha asked him, What kind of game are you playing? He laughed and replied, A game? Aren't we both here to see this through to the end? If we're both sinners, we should be prepared to fall into hell. Alpha, hearing that, questioned, Sins? Are you blaming me for executing your father, Gu Taijin? Gu Kang replied, Well, Gu Taijin wasn't even worthy of being called a father. Alpha asked, What? So Gu Kang added, A high-ranking officer of a ruthless crime syndicate. To someone like Gu Taijin, family was nothing more than baggage. He never showed even the slightest affection to his only son. His wife and child only remained safe, thanks to Gu Taijin's reputation. But after you killed him, everything fell apart. Where do you think all the grudges directed at Gu Taijin went? One day my mother was assassinated, disguised as an accident. To survive, I had to do whatever it took. I needed power, power to survive. After that, He asked Alpha. Now do you realize your sin, Gas Mask? No. Executor Alpha. As an executor, you kill people under the pretense of enforcing justice. How many have you killed? Hundreds? And tell me, has that made the world any more peaceful? The result is right in front of you. Not just me, but you've created endless hatred. I won't deny it, I'm a bad guy. I've committed countless atrocities. But know this, you are not free from sin either. Alpha said, quite the speech. But in the end, it's just sophistry. Gukang asked, what? So Alpha told him, Gukang Ming, you chose your own path. No matter what excuse you make, it won't justify your actions. And one more thing, I have never thought of myself as justice. I simply purge criminals. And for that, I'm more than willing to step onto this stage. As he said this, he stepped forward onto the beam. Gukang smiled, saying, ha, fine. Let's settle this now, Alpha. No matter how strong you are, can you survive falling from 200 meters? Alpha replied, you'll find out soon enough. Gukang got more excited as he said, I suppose I should add a bit more thrill. His subordinates kicked Amber down. While she screamed, she was tied to a rope, so she was left hanging in the air. Alpha worriedly looked at her. So Gukang told Alpha, let's do it this way, Alpha. If you fall, the administrator falls with you. Let's call it a shared fate. Alpha told Amber, just hold on a little longer, Administrator Amber. I'll wrap this up and get you down from there soon. Then he ran towards Gukang and kicked him. Gukang blocked the attack barely with his arms and thought, he's running across steel beams like it's solid ground. Does that guy even feel fear? Alpha asked him, are you scared, Gukang Ming? Ah, you should be. You will regret dragging me here, you fool. After which he continuously started punching Gukang. Gukang blocked the attacks easily and said to Alpha, humph, not bad, but for all your big talk, your punches are nothing special. Alpha, while giving him a full-power punch, said, if you get cocky, you'll get hurt, rookie. The punch was strong, but still couldn't do much damage to Gukang, so he asked Alpha, ha, is this all you've got? Alpha saw that and thought, he easily blocked a punch where I used my full strength, even punches that break riot shields. Then he said to Gukang, you're a body enhancement transcendent. Gukang replied, yeah, it's the power I gained thanks to you ruining my life. In other words, this is all your karma. As he said, he stepped forward to punch Alpha. Alpha noticed this and said, a skill, huh? But you've become full of openings. Alpha was able to land a punch on Gukang's face, but it wasn't of any use, so Kong Ming said, this won't hurt me. Then he punched Alpha back, saying, I let you hit me on purpose. Alpha fell back and tried to grab the beam to keep himself from falling down. Gukang walked forward while mocking Alpha. Ha ha ha, that's better. If you had fallen with just that one blow, then it would have made me look like a fool for waiting all this time for you to rise to this level. Alpha stood back on the beam and thought, it felt like being hit by a truck. If I were an ordinary person, I might have died. Gukang said, what's going on? That old pressure you had is gone now. Since that day, I kept waking at night, remembering you standing like a ghost, thinking someday you'd come back and take the lives of me and my mother as well. But now I see it was just baseless fear. You bastard. As he said this, he tried to punch Alpha fiercely. Alpha dodged it, and the beam got bent with Gukang's punch. He then pushed Alpha back into the corner and punched his arms continuously while shouting, no longer will I be no match for you. What in the world were you relying on when you miserably ruined my life? Answer me, Executor Alpha. Alpha's arms were nearly shattered with Gukang's punches. Amber saw this and worriedly thought, no way, he's being pushed back. Gukang then took hold of Alpha's arm and threw him brutally at the beam. Alpha grabbed the beam with one arm, coughed, and added, not bad, Gukang Ming. I almost lost consciousness there. Gukang said, Ha! You crazy bastard. Your tenacity is truly impressive. But it's time to end this game. Alpha jumped back on the beam, so Gu Kang asked Alpha, "Before that, I should at least see your face. Take off your gas mask, Executor Alpha. Then, regardless of your pitiful end, I'll spare Administrator Amber." Alpha asked Gu Kang, "Do you really think you've won?" "Well, fine. But are you sure you won't regret this?" As he asked this, he healed his arm in seconds. Gu Kang got scared watching that and thought, "What? His severed arm regenerated? Even if he has regeneration abilities, that speed is impossible. What is he exactly?" Alpha then took his mask off while facing the other side so the administrator couldn't see him, but Gu Kang's face started sweating crazily right after watching Alpha's face. He worriedly said, "Huh? Sir Professor?" Alpha put his mask back and said, "Yes, it's been a long time, kid. It's truly unfortunate to meet like this." Then he asked Gu Kang, "See, I told you. Are you sure you won't regret it? Our relationship should have ended as just a criminal and executor.